When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott, and I've got with me this morning special guest, Dr. Joel Myers. Good morning, Doctor. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm so excited to have you on this call because as I was reading through the notes, it says, New York Times has said this is the most accurate man in weather.
Well, yeah, that was a great quote. And we work very hard at AccuWeather every day to earn that badge of honor. And we have thousands of statistics that show that AccuWeather is the most accurate source of weather forecasts for each individual location around the world.
That is awesome. I love that. How did you get the New York Times? How did you get involved with the New York Times? Was that an article that they wrote, or were they doing a editorial piece, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, that was an article. It was a news story. It goes back to when forecasts for ski areas and for others, but we've had thousands of articles saying more or less the same thing, and of course our track record of superior accuracy and forecasting tornadoes and hurricanes, and snowstorms, many statistics. For example, on tornadoes, AccuWeather provides an average advance notice of 16 minutes. The National Weather Service 8 minutes. That's an average over 5 years. On the starting and ending time of snowstorms, or have an average hour of 1.5 hours. Other sources over 3 hours on the starting and ending time. On the past hurricane season, many examples, we predicted the number of storms, 16 to 20. Others were over 20. Some competitors were over 25. And AccuWeather on the hurricane tracks this past season, 8.1% more accurate than the National Hurricane Center. And other known sources, on the hurricane intensity, 3.2% more accurate. AccuWeather issued forecast tracks an average of 19 hours ahead of the National Hurricane Center. That's averaged all the storms, 6.4% more accurate than the National Hurricane Center. On the landfall location, 30.2% more accurate on the landfall intensity, and timing of the forecast, 11.1% more accurate. So we take great pride in doing this. People say, well, aren't all forecasts more or less the same? No, they're not. And AccuWeather takes great pride in being able to have the most accurate forecast, because this means that people make better decisions. People save money. They avoid losses. They save their lives. We've saved over 12,000 lives attributable to our forecast since we first beat everybody else in forecasting Tropical Storm Agnes in 1972. So, and we keep account of that. One of our clients, just with one storm, Hurricane Sandy, said that one forecast saved them $65 million. So that's what we're all about. And I'm very proud of the organization that we have here.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, I'm in Florida today, and I'm going to tell you what, if I lived in Florida, I would definitely have the AccuWeather dialed in continually, because the hurricane season is rough down here. I want to know when to get it out, when the water's coming, when the damage is happening. As you drive through, even the hurricane damage just from a couple of months ago is still, you can still see the remnants of it. You can still see how terrific it was. So those predictive analysis being early and on point are huge for the people in the path of the storm. But I first got introduced to AccuWeather, I want to say it was maybe 17, 18 years ago, and we needed to have storm data. We're in the snowplow business. I own a snowplow company, and we needed data, and we needed to know when it was going to snow, and when it snowed, how much did it snow, and what's the temperature going to be, and how are we going to prove this? And what we found was that the AccuWeather was the source to go to. It was the best source. It was the most reliable source. And so we started utilizing that, I want to say, many years ago, 17, 18 years ago. And now there is just 1,000 weather companies, it seems. I mean, it seems like there is just 1,000 apps. There's 1,000 people doing it. Being an early adopter in this industry, being an early adopter, or what it seems to be, as one of the foremost leaders in the industry. What have you seen change in the industry over the last 15, 20 years, or even 10 years as technology has changed?
Well, tremendous changes, obviously. And by the way, snow forecasting, we serve many of the state Department of Transportation, cities, towns, snowplow operators. We have probably 1,000 clients that pay us for that information because it's the best. And the difference, there are 1,000 or hundreds anyway of different sources. But if you've got the best, you've got to make better decisions. And in the end, you're going to expend less money. You're going to save money. You're going to make more of a profit when you're in that business. And that's what we work very hard with all of our clients. And we serve more than half the Fortune 500 companies and thousands of businesses. When I started this business, weather forecasting was a lot less scientific. It was more experience. You're a combination of the scientific background, but it was also how much experience you've had in analyzing storms and living storms and having that sense and living with the storms 24 hours a day. And of course, people told me I was crazy. Weather forecasts were free from the government. You get them in a newspaper, hear them on the radio. How could you possibly charge for forecasts? I said, well, I'm more accurate. This is when I was started a second-year graduate student at Penn State, studying meteorology, working after I got my bachelor's and my master's and PhD. And of course, I taught at Penn State the basic course in weather forecasting for 21 years, so that was an advantage too. But I would call ski areas and cities for snow flooding and so on. They said, you're crazy. We're not going to pay for forecasts. So I kept at it. And I said, I'll prove it to you. I'll give you a 10-day forecast. So finally, after calling 25,000 prospects, I had 100 paying customers. That was my initial goal.
Wow.
Paying customers. But of course, as an entrepreneur, once I had 100, I wanted 1,000. When I had 1,000, I wanted 10,000, and then 100,000, and so on. And now we're the largest source of weather forecasts and warnings in the world, reaching over 1 billion people through apps and AccuWeather.com and so on. But the changes have been enormous. Nate Silver in his book, The Signal and the Noise, clearly, when he analyzed all types of prediction, dozens of different types of forecasting, concluded that the most advances, given the background and so on, but by far was by meteorology of all types of prediction. And he said, he wrote a separate article, The Weatherman is Not an Imbecile, or something to that effect, because he showed through verification that weather forecasts were the most accurate given the background and the information. So AccuWeather is proud to have been part of that journey, contributing in many ways to the advancement of forecasting. A lot of other people in the weather enterprise certainly contributed, academia, the National Weather Service in some ways and so on. But on the other hand, we battle the government because they gave things away for free, and we had to prove that we were more accurate. For people to pay us we have to show and demonstrate continuously that we're the best. But that's fine. It's an entrepreneurial, competitive, capitalistic way, and we take on that challenge. And if you visited AccuWeather, you would see that every day here to our team is like the Super Bowl of weather, and we want to win. But like the Super Bowl team, you don't win every time, but you're going to have the best win-loss record in all likelihood at the end of the season, and that's how we approach it.
Well, two things I want to comment on. One, if the government gives it away for free, I do not trust it. I'm just going to put that in my notebook of things to really pay attention to. And then number two is, what year did you start making those calls?
1962.
Okay. And so in 1962, you made 25,000 cold calls and you sold 100 clients.
Well, between 1962 and 1971.
Okay.
Late 1971, I finally achieved 100 paying customers. And that I had some part-time employees. 1971 is when I hired my first full-time employee. And I kept teaching and as assistant professor in Solar Penn State, but finally retired from teaching in 1981 because I had 80 employees and over 1,000 clients by then.
Wow. What an incredible entrepreneurial journey. So, I mean, what a testament, because you know what? So many people get into business and they fail in business in 2 years, or they're out in 5 years or whatever it is. But for basically 9 years, you were pounding the phones, made 25,000 calls, picked up almost an average of 10, 11 clients. And you kept at it, had grit, had determination, believed in your product, believed in what you had to deliver. And then, bam, you hired your first employee in 1971, 9 years after you started your business. And today, I mean, you have the Super Bowl of weather companies. That is so impressive. What inside of you gave you that grit and that determination, that don't quit, that just said, I'm going to do this?
Well, I obviously had it, determination, and was not willing to every failure. You just get up and work extra hard, and 7 days a week. You never stop thinking about it. When you're in the shower, when you fall asleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, it's part of your life. And I first got fascinated by the weather when I was 3 years old, growing up in Philadelphia, by snow. And I used to stand at the window, my parents said, and say, snow, 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 as it snowed. Like I could will it to snow more because I love snow. And by the time I was 7, I knew I wanted to be a weather forecaster. And my grandmother gave me a diary, and I wrote down the days that snowed and it was cold. And by the time I was 11, I knew I wanted to start a business. If I could combine my entrepreneurial spirit with my burning desire to be a weather forecaster, that would be the ideal job. And so the only place I could afford to go to college was Penn State University, tuition was $250 a year in 1957. But it turned out Penn State had the best meteorological program in the world. So I was blessed. Wow. And the professors mentored, they were just great. It was a small department. They knew of my dream. Dr. Charles Hosler, who just passed away last year, just a few months shy of 100, was my inspiration. He knew of my dream. And so actually the local gas company called and said, can you give us 5-day temperature, high-low temperatures so we can figure out how much the gas demand will be? And he said to the guy, I'm just the man for you. Gave me this number to call on the back of a torn envelope, and called him. And the gas company was willing to pay me $50 a month for this high and low temperature forecast each day, sending out 5 days, because you couldn't get a 5-day forecast in any place then, and it was local. And so AccuWeather had $150 in annual revenue that first year for 3 winter months, and we were off and running, and just build it from there.
Well, that is, that is so impressive. I love it. And I got the math right. 62 years you've been in business.
That's correct. Yep.
Wow.
And I'm here every day. And I got a great team. I've had 26 team members that have already retired that I hired right out of college, and dozens more. Very proud of that fact that we have. A CEO I appointed last year came to work for the company as a meteorologist 26 years ago, and we have other people heading departments sprinkled around the company that we hired right out of college, spent only the whole life only working for me. And but we have an important mission in life. We've saved over 12,000 lives, prevented injury to over 100,000 people, and saved companies and helped them make close to $100 billion. And so there's no other place like this in the world. The people who work here know it. There's a hurricane, there's a snowstorm. People come in on their own and just volunteer and help out and contribute. And this is a mission of life and a mission of love.
Man, it's very, very impressive for the young entrepreneurs out there who are just getting going. I mean, I feel like I've been an entrepreneur forever. I feel like I've been doing this for 25 years, but you have just a baby. So, at the end of the day, what advice do you have to the guys who are just starting out in business or they're just getting into it? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, know your business, know the value proposition you bring to your customers, because obviously you've got to bring much more value to your customers than they're paying you. And keep refining that, and keep focused. Keep focused. Don't every time you get a setback, come back with renewed energy. And no matter what, don't quit. But keep refining it. Yeah? But just keep at it.
What's one of the toughest things you ever went through that led you to the don't quit mentality?
Well, sometimes we would lose a client and it would be irrational. The budget's been cut. Yeah, but we just saved you such and such. Oh, well, that guy, the department head just left and then we have to cut, or something like that. So it's irrational. We just saved you $1 million last year, and the cost of the service only $10,000. Well, they told us to cut it, and things like that. Also, listen, sometimes you miss a forecast, and we're fanatics, and we perfectionists, and what can we learn from that? There's always something you can learn. So and that's the key. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the key, everybody want to make mistakes. And you got to learn from every mistake. So what is a mistake, or why we didn't do as perfect or not strong as we should have? You go back with the whole team and you analyze it and you figure out next time, what's the new process? What are we going to make sure we don't miss next time? Constantly doing that. Constantly. The Penn State women's volleyball, I think, holds the record for 105 consecutive wins.
Wow.
And Rose, the coach has the approach like we have. He would sit on the side and he'd make note of all the mistakes that the girls would make, women would make. And he figured if he could recruit the best players and reduce their errors out of 30 movements from 18 so they reduced the errors. So they got up to making the right move from 18 out of 30 to 21 out of 30. In other words, reducing the errors, he would win a championship. And that's the way it is. You got to continuously eliminate where things go wrong. Continuously eliminate any errors or improve your performance, and it compounds to your advantage. And of course, compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, as Einstein said, and as Warren Buffett has proved.
Wow, I love that. Eighth wonder of the world, as Einstein said. I'm going to write that down, and Buffett proved. That's a phenomenal quote. I love that. So we met at CEO Coaching International Make Big Happen Summit in, April of last year down in Miami.
Yes.
You've got a super successful business. You were the the leader in the industry, doing an incredible job. You've been in business 62 years, but you still have coaching for you or your team or however that's set up, but you still believe in learning and getting outsourced resources. How has having coaching been an impact on your business and on you as a leader and as an entrepreneur? And do you believe that other entrepreneurs should utilize some sort of coaching in their business?
Absolutely. You got to learn. You got to look for where your weaknesses are. How can you become better? I've had other coaches, and always want to try. It's hard to change. We all have our personalities, and it's difficult to change. So, internally, probably some of your weaknesses. We all do. Some of our strengths. Well, how do you enhance your strengths and use them more effectively? But also, how do you, as I talked before about whether it's a weather forecast or anything, eliminate some of the errors so that you get better? And that's what it's all about. So to help me be more effective as a leader, but also how do I help some of the other people, leaders who are up and coming, get better by mentoring them more effectively. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a hard-charging guy. I'm not always the most sensitive to what's going on, but yet I believe people know that I'm fair and I'm doing what's best for the company and for them, and maybe that's why so many people have spent their entire lives working for me. But it doesn't mean I don't have some rough edges, and I certainly do. And so anybody can benefit from coaching who's willing to listen and learn and try.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Coaching is such a great thing. The tips that you get, the outside perspective, the willingness to learn, and I think the willingness to always grow and evolve as business changes. We hear a lot about AI. Sometimes it seems like a buzzword. You never know how true is it or not. How do you see AI impacting weather forecasting, meteorology, your business? Do you see any impact there with AI?
Absolutely. I mean, we used AI before they called it that back in 1980 when we first created our own data. See, we have a special wording of our forecast. It's not only the accuracy of the forecast, but it's how the forecast is effectively communicated so the person who's getting it makes the right decision. So many times, other forecasts are just as accurate as ours, but they're not communicated effectively. People make the wrong decision and they don't completely get it. The big rainstorm, the record rain that caused the flooding in New York a few years ago, we said the rain would come in fast and furious, causing lethal flooding. Okay, nobody else said it like that. They said heavy rain, some flooding. Okay, but that sends a message. The storm that hit Florida, the Fort Myers a couple of years ago, with 18-foot storm surge that killed 150 people. Well, we were ahead of everybody on that, but we said evacuate. We said that this is a 16 to 20-foot storm surge. Now, the Hurricane Center only said 12 to 16, so the statistics were there, but the words we used around it. 5.5 days before Milton hit the Western Carolinas, we said catastrophic flooding, the worst flooding ever seen. This gets people's attention, so you have to communicate the information effectively as well.
I love that. That's a great point. So I'm loving this conversation. I've got a page full of notes. Excuse me. What is the passion? What is it that drives you to show up at the office every day? You've retired 26 you've retired more people than the Yankees do in a World Series playoff. What is it that drives that passion in you to keep showing at the office and keep working and keep this entrepreneurial spirit moving? What is it that does that?
Well, it's a team, working with them, new products, getting better, beating everybody else, inventing new things. I patented the AccuLumen brightness index last year. We have it in our app every day. We want to go to hour by hour for that. People meteorologists look at the sky, partly cloudy, overcast, but people look out the window. How bright is it today? Is it scintillating blue skies with bright sunshine? Is it a 9 or a 10 out of 10? Or is it a dull, dark day as a 1 or a 2? Affects people's moods and everything else. So this is this invention. So some things are practical and right before your eyes, but it's a new creativity, innovation, the spectacular job we did with this hurricane season, and how to get even better and better and beat everybody else. That's the excitement of working together as a team on unique things that nobody else is doing. And that's the fun of it.
Okay, I got to get some serious questions out of you now. Now we got to get serious here. I'm in the snow business. The last 2 years have been pretty dismal. Is that a trend that we can expect to see, or is that cyclical? What do you see happening in the snow industry and in snowfall in general in North America?
Well, clearly there's global warming and humans are contributing to it. But what's happened over the last couple of years is not representative. You may remember, you just go back 10 years and you had some of the snowiest winters ever in the Northeast. Philadelphia had snow, about 10, 11 years ago. The amount of snow that winter, I never thought I would ever see. It was like 1 in a 500-year amount. Wow. So it's variable, obviously. You only see the kind of lack of snow in some of the Northeast cities that you saw the last couple of years, maybe a couple of times in the next 20 years. Most years are going to be snowier than that.
Okay. So snow is not done. Don't sell all your equipment and get out of the industry. It's going to continue to snow.
Well, you may want your competitors to do that so you have an advantage. But, as far as, no, there's going to be definitely a need for snow clearance, whether the normal snowfall in Philadelphia over the last 100 years, 22.4 inches. The average over the next 20 years might be 20.4 inches, but
sure,
it's not going to be a significant difference.
Doctor, you are a true competitor. I can feel the need to win. It resonates from you, man. That is fantastic. I love it. So if anybody out there in the audience wants to buy your service or get your service or get hooked up with you, how do they do that?
Well, they can write to me at AccuWeather.com, AccuWeather.com. They can reach me, Joel.Myers, Joel.Myers at AccuWeather.com. Or they can visit our commercial page on the AccuWeather.com website.
Awesome. So you heard it right there. That's how you get in touch with Dr. Myers and his team and get hooked up with the AccuWeather family of weather. And I think if you're out there and you're providing a service, it's a great company to get a hold of, a great company to work with. Absolutely fabulous company. 62 years in business. Only 0.5% of all businesses last over 50 years. I pulled that statistic. That is an anomaly in business. They come and go. They're here and they're gone. But you have built a business that has lasted 62 years and is thriving and will continue to last many years into the future. I guess what is outside of don't quit? Because I get that. You got to persevere. Don't quit. And I'm a believer in that myself. What is it that's given you 62 years of business?
Well, it's the superior accuracy. It's constantly providing value. And it's our mission of saving lives and helping people prosper, and our dedication to that, and understanding how we can provide information that's better than any other source out there. So there's a demand for what we do.
I love it. Any final thoughts and tips you would leave with our audience today?
Yeah, entrepreneurialism under the capitalistic system that is helped by the rule of laws enshrined in the Constitution of the United States is the magic that is lifted so many billions of people out of poverty around the world. This is the magic. It doesn't get enough explanation and expression, but that's the magic. And the entrepreneurs who are living that dream not only are contributing to the economy and the well-being and the progress that occurs with society, but they are getting personal satisfaction from contributing, and their life takes on greater meaning. I'm 85 years old and I still have the same passion I've always had, and I still work as hard. And I want other people to recognize the beauty of being an entrepreneur, not only to others, but to themselves. And this kind of a story needs to be told and explained in the schools and across the society.
I think that is so spot on. That the entrepreneurial journey, entrepreneurial work is the magic, and the hard work that and the dedication that you've put in. 85 years old, like you said, continuing to work, built a business at 62 years old, thriving, industry leader in the forecasting and meteorology world is absolutely incredible. And I think it does need to be told, and we need to get out here and we need to work hard, and things aren't just given to us. It's not just, hey, let me take this, or I'm entitled to this. No, we got to work hard. We got to dig deep. You got to put in those hours, work those Saturdays, take care of your family, teach them how to grow, teach them how to work. My dad is 91 years old. I watched him work from start to finish. My mom, still works to this day. And hardworking American families, that's what built this country. My dad worked at a coal mine shoveling coal when he was, 14 years old. My grandfather never had more than a high school education, started working at 9 years old. You see, that's how our country was built, on this incredible backs of people who worked so hard and didn't give up and didn't quit and didn't persevere. So I love that you shared that, about the journey and about capitalism. And capitalism, I think, it's the most wonderful thing in the world. I'm a capitalist. I'm anti-socialism, anti-communism. I'm anti all of that, because I want to win. Just like you, I want to win every single day. I want to be the best. I want to be a champion.
And when you win,
socialism and communism take that away.
When you win, the country wins. And there's so many examples. Look at North Korea versus South Korea. In North Korea, with a communist socialistic system, the average income is $2,000 a year per person. In South Korea, capitalism, $50,000, 25 times as much. You look at Venezuela, you look at Cuba. There's so many examples that don't get discussed. But it's not only capitalism, it's not unbridled capitalism, it's capitalism constrained within the limits of the U.S. Constitution, which is probably the greatest document ever prepared by man and women.
It is. The U.S. Constitution is fabulous. In fact, I was reading a story about when the Constitution was signed, and the signing members of this, before they signed, they had their lives threatened. They had, family members kidnapped. There was so many people that did not want this to happen. And when it did sign and went through that process, it was an incredible thing that happened, and it was the groundwork and the foundation, it just, in my mind, that enabled us to be the country that we are today. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's awesome, and I love the comparison with Venezuela, North and South Korea, and all of that. That's fabulous.
You're welcome. And you certainly living the dream, and your story very meaningful, and people like you made this country.
Well, thank you, my friend. And if we could just follow in your footsteps, that's what the mission is here. Build a great business, do it and love it for life. I think that's an awesome thing, because so many times you see, people, they want to build a business and they want to sell it. They want to get the idea of being rich. They want to sit on a beach and do nothing for the rest of their life. But, you're building a business, a legacy, and you're continuing to enjoy it and continuing to thrive. And I think that's an amazing, thing too in life, is just continuing to be passionate, continuing to work, continuing to love what you
And you treat your
Man, I think that's
but also you can only do that if you treat your employees fairly and give them the satisfaction and benefit, of being part of a thriving business.
Yes, it's very true. All right, we are bringing this thing in for a landing. We've had an absolutely fabulous conversation this morning. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. This is Dr. Joel Myers with AccuWeather. Absolutely fantastic call. I love the line, the eighth wonder of the world, as Einstein said, and Warren Buffett proved it. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Tons of great information, tons of great nuggets. Bring more value to your customers than what they expect. Take care of your employees. Take care of your people. Don't quit. I've got my notes. I've got them dialed in. Check us out, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every Tuesday we are here. Drop your comments into the comment box. Give us a like. Give us a share. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Anywhere we're at social, we're hanging out. Thank you so much for joining the entrepreneurial journey and this incredible call we've had with Dr. Joel Myers. Doctor, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Dave. I really enjoyed it. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.